So let's start. Peroxisomes and glycosome. This topic is given on your textbook page number 22. They both peroxisomes and glyoxysome, they are collectively called as microbodies. Single membrane bounded organelle, they both are single membrane bounded organelles, just like lysosomes. We studied in our previous lesson. These are vesicular structures and they originate from Golgi complex. Just like lysosomes that were originating from the Golgi complex, certain enzymes that are enclosed in these organelles, both peroxisomes and glyoxysome, just like lysosomes. We all know lysosomes have digestive or hydrolytic enzymes basically that are helping the cell to break down particular substance, whether it is bacteria, whether it is food, or any other foreign substance. All right, but the only difference is that their size is much smaller than lysosomes. All right, the origin is same. They are single membrane bounded. They are originating from the Golgi complex. They contain special enzymes, but those enzymes are different from lysosomes. And the difference is that they are smaller in size than lysosomes. Coming towards the structure, peroxisome, they look like this. This is a lipid bilayer structure. Remember, we studied in our plasma membrane topic, the fluid mosaic model. One lipid layer, the other lipid layer. Hence, we call it lipid bilayer. All right. This is the plasma membrane of which the structure is lipid bilayer. Inside the peroxisome, if we cut the organelle in one section, we see that it there in the center it has certain enzymes, oxidative enzymes specifically. Now let's study what are those enzymes that are present in peroxisomes. These are oxidative enzymes that carry out oxidation of particular substance, or they break down a particular substance. The enzymes are peroxidase, catalase, and glycolic acid oxidase. And mainly these organelles are abundant. They are found in liver cells. Obviously, these are organelles. They are present in cells of any structure, and many cells they join together to form a structure called tissue. So every cell of that tissue of liver cell contains peroxisomes, because liver has particular functions that we will study in our lesson today. What is the function of peroxisomes in the cells in which they are present? Formation and decomposition of hydrogen peroxide, hence named peroxisomes. Peroxisomes, they are basically involved in the decomposition and formation. First, they form hydrogen peroxide, and then obviously hydrogen peroxide is a toxic chemical, toxic substance. It is then broken down into water and oxygen. Second function is that it is involved in detoxification of alcohol. Alcohol, obviously, as we know, it is in our religion, Islam, it is not allowed. The reason, there are many reasons for it's not allowed in our religion, but one of that reason is that it is injurious to our health. All right, it is very destructive. So it causes it serves as a toxin for our body. So whenever someone consumes alcohol, the liver works itself more effectively in order to detoxify the effects of that alcohol. How that alcohol is converted into alcohol molecules are then broken down into hydrogen peroxide molecule, as we have mentioned here, H2O2. But H2O2 is also a toxic substance. It is then broken down with the help of particular enzyme called catalase into simple substances such as water and oxygen. Now you can see peroxidase and catalase, we already studied them in the enzyme section. See here, the enzymes are peroxidase, catalase. We have studied how peroxidase is involved in the conversion of glucose into hydrogen peroxide, and how catalase is involved in the conversion of hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. In plant cells, peroxisomes, they are taking their part. They are playing their role in photorespiration. Photorespiration is a complete process. One of the step of photorespiration is conversion of glycolate into glycine. And that reaction is taking place in the presence of enzyme glycolic acid oxidase. That enzyme, which is mentioned in number 3, important enzyme of peroxisomes. So that was all about peroxisomes, three enzymes, their function in our body and their function in plants as well. And what are they doing? They are taking care of the body, whether it is plant body or animal body. Next comes glyoxysomes. This is also small organelles just like lysosome and peroxisome, but they are smaller than lysosomes. They are found only in seedling stage in oil seed plants. It means that it is not present in animals. Enzymes for plant lipid metabolism, which is absent in animal cells. Because glyoxysomes, that organelle is very small organelle, and it is containing particular enzymes, those enzymes that are responsible for lipid metabolism, which is absent in animals. All right, because as we all know, in our body there is no mechanism for lipid synthesis in our body, so we have to take lipids from outside in our food, in the form of our food, and get that nutrient from it. Germinating seedling, the seedling that is germinating and growing, converts stored fatty acid into carbohydrates by glyoxylate cycle. Enzymes of glyoxylate cycle are present in glyoxysomes. So glyoxysome, these are single membrane bounded organelles that are present only in oil seed plants, and it contains enzymes of glyoxylate cycle. All right, and that cycle is used by germinating seedling that is converting fatty acid into carbohydrates. That is all about glyoxysomes. Both peroxisomes and glyoxysomes, they are collectively called as microbodies. So I hope that is quite a simple topic. You have to learn the important terms, enzymes of peroxidase, such as the enzymes of peroxisomes are peroxidase, catalase, and glycolic acid oxidase. Then coming towards glyoxysomes, this is also a single membrane bounded organelle. It contains enzymes of glyoxylate cycle, and it is present only in plants or germinating seedlings. Now, our next topic is vacuoles. What are vacuoles? Vacuoles are very important organelles. As you all know, they are absent in animals. They are absent in animals in such a way that large vacuoles are absent in animals, but in animal cells, small vacuoles are present. All right, large vesicles, they are originating from ER, Golgi complex, and plasma membrane. There's Have you been noticing that every organelle that we are studying is originating from other organelle in the cell? All right, so vacuole, here you can see this green is the plant cell. There's a large single vacuole that you can see in blue color. This is the vacuole, and that tonoplast, this is the membrane of that vacuole. Just like as you know, nucleus, the membrane of nucleus is known as nuclear membrane. The membrane of vacuole is known as tonoplast. Here you can see the picture, different parts of vacuole, tonoplast, cell sap. Cell sap is the inner content. We will study about it later. This is a central vacuole, and nucleus is pushed sideward because vacuole is larger in only animals, in plant cell, because you can see here green chloroplast here. This is also a plant cell. Now, what we are going to study is the function of vacuoles. What are vacuoles? Vacuoles, it performs variety of function in animal cells. It is in the form of food vacuole. Food vacuole, remember, we studied in our yesterday's lesson that food vacuole is formed by phagocytosis when food is entered into the cell by the process known as endocytosis, and then that food vacuole is then fused with lysosome so that food can be digested. And uh, and we also studied that in freshwater for protist contractile vacuole is present. In food vacuole case, all the useful substances are absorbed by the cytoplasm, but contractile vacuole helps the plants to remove excess water from the cell. Hence, in water and freshwater protists, contractile vacuole is present that pumps excess water out of the cell. In young plants, what happens? Many small vacuoles are present. It holds the reserves of organic compounds. It protects them from herbivores, poisonous, and herbivores, that all the animals that are eating the grain plants, because these young plants have small vacuoles that containing organic compounds, which is giving them poisonous and unpleasant smell, so that herbivore, all the animals that avoid eating these plants because of their bad smell. So small vacuoles, they are helping the plants to grow. In mature plants, what happens? Large central vacuole is present, and from where it is formed? It is formed by the fusion of these many small molecules. All right, and now it is serving, large vacuole is serving for the purpose of storing water and food as well. Now, what is the structure of central vacuole? Cell sap. The solution inside the cell sap plants is known as cell sap. The plant's main reservoir of inorganic ions such as potassium and chloride. So the solution inside the vacuole is known as cell sap. The solution inside the cell is known as cytoplasm. All right, tonoplast. What is tonoplast? It is a membrane separating the vacuole from cytoplasm. This is known as tonoplast. This membrane is known as tonoplast. Just like the outer membrane of the cell is plasma membrane, outer membrane of vacuole is tonoplast. This is all about terminologies. You have to remember each of them. Now coming towards our next topic, mitochondria. What is mitochondria? I hope you are well aware of this organelle. Mitochondria, they are cylindrical or rod-shaped structures. They are enclosed by double membrane phospholipid bilayer. Remember, we studied that lysosomes or microbodies. Microbodies are peroxisome and glyoxysome. They were single membrane body organelles. Now we are going to study double membrane body organelles such as mitochondria. Double membrane means outer membrane. It is smooth, but it contains porine proteins. Porine proteins, what are porine proteins? Porins, they are responsible for the transport of material across the membrane. There are pores on the outside, on the outer wall of the mitochondria, so that materials can be exchanged from outside of the cell, from cytoplasm to the inner side or to the inside of mitochondria. The other membrane is inner membrane. Now here you can see in the outer membrane that green structures you can see here, these are porins. The inner membrane is forming the enfoldings, and the ATP synthase and other structures here in this picture. Now some more facts about mitochondria is that in all mitochondria is present in all eukaryotic cells. Some mitochondria have single, but others have hundreds or even thousands of mitochondria. And that number of mitochondria in a cell, it depends on the rate of metabolic activity. If the cell is metabolically active, it is doing many reactions, it will have more and more mitochondria. All right, as you already seen in that picture, mitochondria is a very complex and important organelle. It is self-replicating. The reason behind its self-replication is that it contains its own DNA. We will study about it later. Its own DNA, and it can replicate by itself by the process known as fission. Some important structures that are present in mitochondria are cristae. Cristae, they increase the surface area of the mitochondria. You can see here these enfoldings, these are known as cristae. These enfoldings that are increasing the surface area of the inner membrane. Some stalk particles or granular structures F0 and F1. These are known as stalk particles. Stalk particles, ATP synthase is present in the inner membrane for electron transport chain. They have intermembrane space inside the inner membrane. There is some space in which mitochondrial matrix is present. We will.
मिस आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
Okay, just wait for a second. Am I clear now? अब आवाज आ रही है, students?
मिस आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही बिल्कुल.
Now you can see here this dark green one. This is the outer membrane of mitochondria. That yellow one, it is making infolding. You can see that it is fold and fold again and again. This is the inner membrane of mitochondria. The red one here is the DNA All right, DNA of mitochondria. With the help of this DNA, mitochondria replicates by itself. This blue fluid inside the inner membrane is known as matrix. This is the intermembrane space. The region between outer membrane and inner membrane is known as intermembrane space, the space between two membranes. These are ribosomes. Ribosomes are, as you can see, we studied in the endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum also have a ribosome. Here in mitochondria, we also have ribosome. So from this, we conclude that ribosomes are very important organelles. All right. So protein synthesis is already also very important process. It has to be done no matter what the condition is. All right. The Christy here, I hope that you understand the exact labeling of that organelle which we are going to study. Now, just have a look at this video to understand this concept.
Welcome to Moo Math and Science. In this video, I'd like to talk about what happens in the mitochondria. The mitochondria in school is often called the powerhouse of the cell. It is a structure in the cell that generates ATP, which is converted into energy. Think of the mitochondria as the charging station of your cell phone. Without any power, your cell phone is not very helpful. A mitochondria looks almost like a small cell inside a cell. It has ribosome and DNA and has the ability to duplicate. The mitochondria has two layers, an inner membrane and an outer membrane. The matrix and an intermembrane space. Cellular respiration requires sugar and oxygen in order to create ATP. First, the sugar, in the form of glucose, is converted in a process called glycolysis into two pyruvates. This occurs outside the mitochondria and also produces 2 ATP. The pyruvate, which earlier was sugar, travels into the mitochondria, and more specifically the matrix. At this location, it helps power the Krebs cycle. During this process, carbon dioxide is given off, and NAD and FAD are formed, and also 2 molecules of ATP. Now we move to the next step, which is called the electron transport chain. And during this process, oxygen is used. Inside the inner wall, or the inner membrane, are protein pumps. NAD and FAD provide energy for these pumps, and hydrogen ions flow back and forth through these protein pumps, and also generate 34 ATP. Now this is where oxygen comes into play. The waste products from the powering of the electron transport chain combine with oxygen to produce water. Without the oxygen, this transport chain could not take place, and the large number of ATP could not be generated. So there's a little overview of what happens inside the mitochondria.
Okay, that was a quick overview. Now let's go towards the function of mitochondria. Cellular respiration is the main function of mitochondria, as we all know. Why do we call mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cell? The reason behind is that mitochondria is involved in energy production in the form of ATP. As you all know, ATP is the energy currency of the cell, and that's the reason why mitochondria is considered as the powerhouse of the cell. All right. Cellular respiration is the process which is taking place in mitochondria. And what is cellular respiration exactly? The metabolic process that uses oxygen to extract from sugar and fats. The metabolic process that uses oxygen to extract from sugar and fat uses oxygen and extract ATP, or extract energy from sugar and fats. Enzymes, obviously every organelle has particular enzymes, just like lysosome, just like peroxisomes and glyoxysomes. Mitochondria also contain enzymes, those enzymes that are necessary for cellular respiration, which is the key function of mitochondria. Enzymes, they are present in the matrix, and what are those enzymes doing? They are catalyzing the steps of cellular respiration. As you already seen in the video, that the steps of cellular respiration are glycolysis, electron transport chain, Krebs cycle, etc. So each of these steps requires energy, and energy in the form of ATP. Other proteins that function in ATP generation through ETC, through electron transport chain, are found in inner membrane. And from where these proteins are present, as we already studied, that mitochondria is having ribosome in it. So those ribosomes are making those accessory proteins that will help the mitochondria to generate ATP through electron transport chain, and they make these ribosomes make these proteins available in the inner membrane. Now, what are those proteins? As we all know, enzymes are proteins, and enzymes are required for catalyzation, for catalyzing the process of cellular respiration. So it is now making sense how and why mitochondria is requiring ribosomes and requiring energy in the form of ATP, just to take carry away the process, or the carry away its main function, the reason why mitochondria exists. I hope you understand the topic completely. There is a overview of whole topic, because mitochondria is really important topic. You have to grab all the concept regarding this organelle. And now just have a look at this video to understand the concept more clearly.
Mitochondria. A cell is the basic functional unit of life. Different cell organelles carry out specific functions of the cell and are essential for a cell's survival. One of the most important organelles found in a cell is the mitochondria. Mitochondria are known as the powerhouses of the cell and are only present in eukaryotic cells. As the name suggests, the main function of a mitochondrion is to generate energy in the form of ATP for the cell's various activities. Come, let's learn about the structure of a eukaryotic mitochondrion in this module. At the end of this module, you will be able to describe the structure of a mitochondrion. Mitochondria, an overview. Mitochondria are membrane-bound organelles and are one of the largest organelles found in the cytoplasm. They were first identified as bioblasts by German pathologist Richard Altmann in the year 1840. The name mitochondria was coined by Carl Bender in 1898. The mitochondria change shape rapidly. Therefore, mitochondria may appear spherical or tubular in shape. The number of mitochondria also varies from 1 to several thousand, depending on the cell's energy requirement. Mitochondria are in constant motion inside the cell. They tend to move to regions of high energy requirement and can undergo repeated rounds of fusion and fission. The mitochondria have their own DNA and their own machinery for protein synthesis. They multiply by the process of fission, just like bacteria. General structure of mitochondria. Mitochondria are membrane-bound organelles and range from 0.5 to 1 micrometers in diameter. Mitochondria are made up of an outer and an inner membrane. The membrane is composed of phospholipid bilayer and proteins. The outer membrane contains large number of proteins called porins, which allow diffusion of molecules from one side of the membrane to the other. The space between the outer membrane and the inner membrane is known as the intermembrane space. The intermembrane space contains several proteins such as the cytochrome C or complex 3, which plays an important role in the electron transport chain. The inner membrane of the mitochondria is thrown into a number of folds called the crista. Crista increase the surface area of the membrane and provide a larger space for biochemical reactions to take place. The number of crista is not constant and can vary with the cell's energy requirement. Crista are studded with many proteins that are involved in the electron transport chain and ATP synthesis. The most important ones being complex 1, NADH dehydrogenase, complex 2, succinate dehydrogenase. Complex 3, cytochrome BC1 complex. Complex 4, cytochrome oxidase and F0F1 portion of the ATP synthase enzyme protein. The space enclosed by the inner membrane is known as the matrix. The matrix contains a highly concentrated mixture of hundreds of enzymes required for TCA cycle, F1 portion of ATP synthase enzyme, special mitochondrial ribosome, and several copies of the mitochondrial DNA genome. The enzymes in the matrix and the ATP synthase complex help in producing ATP. Production of ATP is the most important function of mitochondria.
So that was all about our today's lesson. I hope you get the complete topic. Now, anyone